It's 3 a.m. The house is a tomb of silence, the kind of heavy quiet that only parents and night owls truly understand. You're standing there, barely conscious, leaning over the crib just to catch the rhythmic, fragile sound of that tiny breath. And then it happens. A fleeting, mysterious upward curve of the lips, a smile. In the dim, amber glow of the nightlight, it looks like a moment of pure, celestial bliss. Now, if you ask a traditional pediatrician about this tomorrow, they'll probably give you the standard old-school answer, "It's just gas, Mom." Or they'll call it a reflexive smile, a biological glitch, a subcortical firing of muscles that has no more emotional meaning than a knee-jerk reaction. They tell you it's a vestigial remnant of our primate past, meant to keep caregivers close through a clever evolutionary trick, but devoid of any actual feeling behind it. For decades, the medical establishment treated the infant mind like a simple input-output machine. If there was no social stimulus, there was no real smile. But here is where the science gets fascinating and where the old guard was wrong. Developmental neuroscientists and neonatal sleep researchers have spent the last 2 decades peering into the infant brain during these midnight smiles using advanced imaging that didn't exist 30 years ago. What they found is far more provocative than a simple digestive hiccup. That smile isn't just a reflex. It is the first flickering light of a human soul turning on. Scientists at the University of Chieti in Italy monitored 2-day-old infants, babies who haven't even had time to learn what a smile means, and found that these smiles occur almost exclusively during a very specific, high-intensity neurological state. We are talking about the ontogenic hypothesis. This is the idea that these smiles are the brain's way of testing its own emotional hardware before the software is even fully installed. It's not a glitch. It's a mission-critical system check. Imagine a high-performance jet running its engines on the tarmac before its first flight. That is your baby's brain at 3 a.m. It's not gas, it's a rehearsal for being human. To understand the smile, we have to understand the theater where it performs. REM-ed, REPI movement, sleep. In adults, REM-ed is when we dream of flying or those strange sequences where you're back in high school and forgot your shoes. But for a baby, REM sleep, also known as active sleep, is the brain's primary workstation. It is where the heavy lifting of human development occurs. Newborns spend a staggering 50% to 80% of their sleep in REM, compared to just 20% in adults. Why such a massive, disproportionate difference? Because a baby's brain is a predictive processing machine that is currently offline for heavy-duty maintenance and expansion. Every single second they were awake, they were bombarded with an overwhelming flood of data, colors, sounds, smells, and the strange, complex geometry of your face. During REM, the baby's brain is firing at a rate that would be physically exhausting if they were awake. This is where the concept of neural Darwinism comes into play. The brain is deciding which neural connections to keep and which to prune away. Researchers using high-density EEG caps have mapped this activity and found that while the baby's body is temporarily paralyzed, a biological safety lock called rematonia, the amygdala, the emotional switchboard, and the hippocampus, the memory center, are lighting up like a city skyline at night. When a baby smiles in their sleep, they are often in the middle of what neuroscientists call a sensory rehearsal. They aren't dreaming of a trip to the zoo or a complex plotline. They are processing the raw, beautiful data of existence, the feeling of your skin against theirs, the specific frequency of your heartbeat that they've known since the womb, the way the light shifted on the wall that afternoon. The Max Planck Institute for Human Cognitive and Brain Sciences suggests that these smiles are the outward manifestation of the brain successfully filing away an emotional memory. It is the physical sound of the neural hardware clicking into place. The REM sleep brain isn't just resting, it's building the foundations of cognition. It is practicing how to feel joy before it even knows what the word joy means. Every smile is a save button being pressed on a positive experience from their waking hours. This brings us to a concept that will change how you look at your child forever: the emotional blueprint. For decades, the prevailing theory was that babies were born as tabula rasa, blank slates. We thought emotions were things they learned entirely from observing us, like a mirror reflecting a light. But the science of neonatal smiling suggests something much deeper and more ancient. Babies born prematurely, and even babies born blind, exhibit these identical, perfectly formed sleep smiles. This tells us that the program for joy is not learned, it is hardwired. It is part of the human standard equipment etched into our DNA over millions of years of evolution. That smile you see at 3 a.m. is the brain running a pre-flight check. Imagine a pilot in a dark cockpit, flipping switches one by one to make sure the lights on the dashboard work before takeoff. The brain is firing the zygomatic major muscles, the primary smiling muscles, to ensure the connection between internal neural contentment and external physical expression is solid. This is part of our autonomous nervous system training. But there's a deeper, more soulful layer to this blueprint. Researchers at the University of Portsmouth found that these early, non-social sleep smiles are the literal scaffolding for the social smile that appears around 6 weeks of age. By smiling in their sleep, the baby is practicing the universal language of connection. They are testing the tools they will eventually use to manipulate their environment and bond with their tribe. Think about the weight of that for a second. In the absolute silence of the night, your baby is dreaming of the feeling of safety. They are practicing the expression they will use to tell you "I love you" months before they can even comprehend what a word is. They are building an emotional blueprint that says, "When I feel this warmth, this is how I show the world my peace." It's a biological love letter being written in real time, deep within the brainstem and the limbic system. It is the most honest expression a human can give because it happens without an audience. As the baby crosses the 3-month mark, the nature of these smiles undergoes a massive tectonic transformation. The reflexive stage begins to blend into what we call memory-linked dreaming. This is the true mind awakening. When they smile now, they might actually be seeing you in the theater of their mind. They are replaying the game of peekaboo from earlier that afternoon. They are reliving the moment they finally tasted that colorful wooden block or felt the cold breeze on their cheeks for the first time. The consciousness is expanding from simple sensory processing to complex, narrative-based simulation. But here is the tiny mind secret that most parents never hear, and it's the most important part of this story. Your presence during the day directly dictates the quality of their neural rehearsal at night. Studies show that infants who experience high levels of contingent responsiveness, meaning you smiled back when they looked at you, you touched them when they reached out, or you sang when they babbled, show measurably more complex and organized neural firing during their sleep cycles. You are the raw data for their dreams. When you hold their gaze during the day, you are providing the high-definition footage that their brain will edit, process, and render during the night. You are the architect of their nighttime joy. Being stared at and smiling back isn't just a sweet moment. It is construction work on their prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that will eventually handle their decision-making, their social intelligence, and their emotional regulation for the rest of their lives. This is why eye contact is so vital. When you look at them, their mirror neurons fire, creating a bridge between your nervous system and theirs. During sleep, they cross that bridge again and again. So, here is the final takeaway for tonight. When you see that fleeting grin tonight, don't let anyone diminish it. Don't let them tell you it's just gas. You are witnessing a mind coming online. You are seeing a human being learning how to exist in a world of feelings. You are watching the very first rehearsals of a lifetime of happiness. Your baby isn't just sleeping. They are becoming who they are. and they are using the love you gave them during the day to build that person in the dark. If this deep dive into the infant mind changed the way you look at those quiet midnight moments, then you're exactly where you need to be. Subscribe to this channel and join our community of parents and thinkers who want to look behind the behavior to see the actual science of the soul. I want to know in the comments below, what was the strangest or most beautiful thing you've seen your baby do in their sleep? Have you ever seen them laugh out loud? Let's talk about it in the comments, because your real-world observations are where the best science begins. And if you're wondering about the other side of this mystery, why babies sometimes point at empty corners or stare into nothing with such haunting, unblinking intensity that involves the hidden architecture of the developing eye and a phenomenon called face-over detection. That is the subject of our next video, and trust me, the science is stranger than any ghost story you've ever heard. Stay curious, stay grounded, and keep staring back, because they're looking for you, even when their eyes are closed.